This is a show about the American entrepreneur, the dreamers, the believers, the achievers. We discover those making a better life for others through a better business. That's what it means to be in Multiview's good company.
I like to think with my background as a firefighter, I think I can relate in a personal level. I have an understanding of the tragedy of losing a firefighter. A lot of times when I do a sculpture, I try to relate some of those experiences back into the work I'm doing. My name is Paul Olesniewicz. Right now I'm retired from the fire department and I do bronze sculptures.
The service Paul is providing is he allows not only the people that are involved in the fire departments to memorialize their fallen comrades, but also he jogs the memory of the general public that it is a selfless job and that people have given their lives in that field of work.
Paul's lifetime of service helping others continues beyond firefighting, thanks to his company 911 Sculpture.
You'll find a lot of times people are excellent artists, but they also have to be an excellent business person to make a living at artwork. The fire department gave me the opportunity to have a career that I liked and also gave me the time that I could do my artwork.
27 of Paul's 32 years of firefighting were spent with the Tucson Fire Department.
It's hard to imagine that I would ever have done any other job than this. The best experience in the job of firefighting itself is just that point of being able to take care of people.
And taking care of people is what Paul continues to do through his sculpting.
I think his experience being on the fire department comes through in his artwork because he's been there and he's done it.
Usually when I get a call from people, they want to know how much a sculpture costs. And I usually like to tell them before I even start, telling them I was a fireman for 32 years and I understand what they're going through. I'm there for them whether they choose one of my sculptures or not. I feel honored to be able to help them produce the memorial for their department, for their loved ones, and for their community.
From the folds in the bunker gear to the weathered concern, each one of Paul's sculptures exhibits an authenticity that could only come from a fellow firefighter.
I can relate to them on the personal level as a firefighter, and I can relate on the sculptural level. So I think I bring experience to firefighter and EMS memorials. Producing a sculpture is a collaborative process. I do the work on the sculpture itself, and then it has to be cast.
Casting is the process in which molten bronze is poured into a mold and then allowed to cool and solidify. 911 Sculpture's casting is completed at Metal Physic, a local Tucson foundry.
This kind of scale of sculpture, monumental scale, it's very difficult for artists to produce that on their own just because of the time involved and it would take years and years to produce a sculpture. So whatever the artist's needs are along that path is where we jump in and help.
At the foundry, they take the clay that I've worked on and they section off the sculpture. They'll make a rubber mold off of those different sections. So on top of the rubber, they will put plaster material to reinforce it so that it's sturdy.
When the plaster dries, each half is bolted together, creating a hollow mold lined with rubber.
Then they'll paint wax onto the surface of the rubber. So now they're going to have exact replica of what I sculpted in wax, only maybe 3/8 of an inch thick. So we'll take it over to the wax room. They'll add all the sprues and runners to it.
Here, wax rods, known as sprues and runners, are added to the mold. Later, when the wax is melted away, these rods leave behind hollow tubes for the molten bronze to enter the mold.
In this case, the bronze will pour all the way down to the bottom and then slowly make its way back up top.
Next, the mold moves to the shell room. Here at Metal Physic, they create a ceramic shell around the wax using layers of dry silica sand. This is known as the air set method.
And they'll take each one of those pieces of wax and they'll dip it in a ceramic material.
The ceramic slurry adheres the silica sand to the mold. They start with finer sand to capture the details, and later layers use coarser sand for added strength. Each layer must dry completely before the next is applied. With the shell completed, it's heated to over 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit in a large custom kiln. The heat melts out the wax and prevents the shell from breaking during the molten bronze pour. The pour can be extremely dangerous, as the bronze is over 1,700 degrees and must be completed by highly skilled craftsmen.
And then when it solidifies, they'll go in and they'll break all the ceramic shell off. They'll put all those pieces together and they'll weld all those seams. And then after that, they clean, they sandblast the entire sculpture, and they come in and they put a chemical on it that reacts with the copper and the bronze, and it gives it a color.
With a simple squirt bottle and added heat, years of oxidizing color can be artistically applied to selected pieces of the statue.
I feel lucky that we have just an excellent foundry in town that does really fine work.
Metal Physic and Paul have collaborated on many projects, but it's the Tucson Firefighter Memorial that holds a special place in Paul's heart. The Tucson Fire Department has been saving lives for over 120 years. But until recently, the efforts of Tucson's devoted servicemen and women had gone uncelebrated.
Kelly Nelson, the captain, he just thought that was terrible that we had lost this history. So he thought it would be great to have a memorial. And he knew I did sculpture work and all, and he came to me, he says, "Hey, would you like to do something?" He said, "Let's see if we can, maybe get something rolling here." And I said, "Yeah, I'd love to."
After 10 years of planning, fundraising, and sculpting, the memorial was finally unveiled in 2009.
I did something a little unconventional. I did a life-size sculpture of a firefighter, and the firefighter had his back turned towards you, which you don't do usually with a sculpture. What I wanted to is when you came up to this site, initially you're looking at the back of this firefighter and you're thinking, well, what's he looking at? And if you look forward then, you would see a wall, and it's sort of a V shape. You'd see above that was an eagle, and below that our bunker gear, the helmet and boots and pants. The entire memorial, from the wall to the sculptures, everything, focused everything onto those. The important part of it is the names of those fallen firefighters.
We know Paul, we know his heart, we know the effort he put into it, so it's an honor for us to have it here at Station 1.
It's nice to remember that they gave their life for the community, and it's nice to be able to remember them, that they have passed on, but they're not forgotten.
Sculpture, for me, was a way of helping people heal again. These mean a lot to the families, the firefighters, and their community. Just as helping people in the fire service, I think is just an extension to do these firefighter memorials and sculptures.
It's through these sculptures that Paul helps thousands of servicemen and women not be forgotten, while at the same time reinforcing our mission at Good Company to continue traveling and keep discovering the best that America's entrepreneurs have to offer.